Hi everybody. Today we're going to talk about simple interest versus compound interest. We're going to talk about calculation differences in this video. We're not going to talk about the differences in concept or theory because I've already talked about that in the previous video. In this video we're going to focus on purely the numbers and the actual facts that the numbers represent. Yeah? Now, let's talk about simple interest first. There are three variables in your simple interest formula, which is principal, simple interest rate, and time. I'm going to illustrate the difference between simple and compound through using an example, where your principal is 1,000. Your simple interest rate is 10% per annum, and your time is 3 years. Now, in compound, we don't have big T anymore, we're going to use a small t. Now, why are we using small t? Because t doesn't refer to how long or how many years are in the one period. T now refers to where on the timeline we're at. And what you start off with is t equals 0, and then t equals 1, t equals 2, t equals 3. Right? Now, what you have from 0 to 1 is your first year, 1 to 2 is your second year, and 2 to 3 is your third year. Right? Now, we're going to calculate the beginning value, the interest earned, and the ending value for every t. So the beginning value at t equals 0 must be 1,000, right? Because you're starting your investment. So 1,000. The interest that you have earned because you are still at t equals 0 and you have just invested this amount must be 0. Because you have spent no time in this period, right? You have just started the period. You have not moved anywhere. And your ending value must then be ending value. Ending value must be the summation of these two, which is 1,000. Your ending value is essentially the future value for this time, right? So I want to write that down. Your ending value is principal plus interest. And your interest is essentially here, and your principal is essentially here. Now, as I mentioned in the previous video, what you find with compound interest, because you're talking about so many periods, is that your principal is consistently changing. And because your principal is consistently changing, the amount of interest that you're earning at every time period is changing as well. But let's continue this example. Your ending value for t equals 0 is essentially your beginning value for t equals 1, because it carries forward. And now at t equals 1, this is basically where your first year ends. So you have moved through a year with 1,000, and therefore you have earned 10% on that 1,000, being $100 worth of interest. Your ending value is p plus I, which is 1,000, plus 100, which is 1,100. Now, this carries forward. 1,100. Same thing, 10% of this, 110. Add these two together, 1,210. This carries forward. 1,210. 10% of this is 121. Add this, you get $1,331. And this is the end of your calculation. This is the interest, so this is the interest that you've earned in your third year, plus what you began your third year with. This is what you end with. After your 3 years of investing, this is what you have. This is your future value. Now, how you get the amount of interest you have earned during this investment, this 3-year investment, is essentially getting this and minusing your beginning value, your beginning principal. So the amount that you have earned is 1,301 minus 1,000. That is the amount of compound interest that you have earned, which is $331. Let's look at simple interest. Let's go back to simple interest. Let's calculate how much interest you have earned here. Well, we know simple interest is P multiplied by your rate multiplied by time. 1,000 multiplied by your rate, which is 10%, multiplied by 3. You have earned $300 worth of interest. And what you notice is that your compound interest is larger than your simple interest. Now I've talked about why that is. The reason why your compound interest is larger than your simple interest is simply because in compound interest you are earning interest on interest. And therefore when you earn interest on interest, as you can see in time 2, we've earned an extra $10 because it is the interest on this value here. And your $21 is your interest on this value here. We are earning interest on interest, which is going to give us an extra return. So therefore, your compound interest is always going to be larger than your simple interest. Thank you for watching this video.